The Zernak Confederacy had never failed a conquest. They were cold-blooded tacticians in the most literal sense. Reptilian minds evolved across thousands of battle cycles, optimized for strategy, patience, and precision. Entire empires had collapsed before their unblinking gaze, not from force, but from flawless predictive logic. Earth was a low-tier blip, designation PR-47R-, primate residual threat level, minimal. A provisional analysis painted the picture clearly. The species was emotionally volatile, war-torn, divided, lacking telepathic unity. Worse, their media output included thousands of hours of staged conflict, nonsensical humor, and unstable leadership rhetoric. Their top broadcasted items, the Zernak strategist general noted, include a dog with a synthetic voice box and a ritual where participants ingest cinnamon powder until their respiratory systems fail. The War Council laughed, not derisively, strategically. Humanity, they concluded, had no true centralized coordination. Their weapons were scattered, their alliances fluid. One continent hoarded resources while another debated water rights. Their species-wide consensus mechanisms were so inefficient, Earth often went entire months without a unified planetary goal. Thus, Operation Quiet Storm, a surgical incursion. Step 1, disable orbitals. Step 2, deploy planet-wide paralysis nets. Step 3, offer surrender before their leaders finished arguing over what color the surrender document should be. Time to completion, 3 Earth hours. The only variable was cultural unpredictability, so Observation Drone Unit 7 was dispatched for final live behavior sampling. It descended undetected into a zone labeled Montana. Its first transmission nearly broke the strategist general's cognitive loop. The feed showed a human male, species designation confirmed, engaged in physical combat with a fully grown grizzly bear. Shirtless, screaming, laughing, not with fear, with joy. The bear struck. The human took the hit, staggered, and then, mid-roar, bit the bear back. Blood, teeth, sweat, laughter. Drone 7 scanned for backup units. There were none. This wasn't a military training ground. It was listed as a campground and recreational preserve. No spectators, no ceremony, just one human, one apex predator, and a fight that looked like sport. The feed ended abruptly as the bear swatted the drone out of the sky by accident. But the last captured frame showed the human raising his fists and yelling, not at the bear, but at the sky, directly into Drone 7's camera, as if he knew, as if he welcomed what was coming. The Zernak War Council fell silent. For the first time in 900 conquest cycles, the strategist general reclassified the mission. Earth was no longer labeled low threat. It was now marked caution, behavioral anomalies, unknown thresholds, delay invasion until further analysis. The feed resumes 47 seconds after Drone Unit 7 recovered partial stabilization. It zooms in. Specimen 47, male human. Estimated age, 30 Earth years. Lean muscular build. Elevated heart rate. No visible weapons. No technological armor. No shoes. The only gear visible is a black strap across his chest, holding a small blinking cube. Zernak archives identify it. GoPro Hero 12. A primitive, non-combat recording device. No shields, no backup. Just bare feet, scarred knuckles, and a smile that radiates irrational confidence. The bear charges. Drone sensors log its weight at over 270 kilograms, muscle massed with claws long enough to puncture bone. But the human doesn't flinch. He sprints toward it. Zernak language has no direct translation for what happens next. But the rough approximation is, the prey headbutted the apex predator. Hard, the bear stumbles. The human screams, "For picnic baskets!" and wraps both arms around the beast's waist in what Zernak combat logs can only label as a reverse aerial suplex. They crash through a bush. Dust and fur fly. Drone 7 increases altitude to track impact. Seconds later, the bear runs. The bear runs. Specimen 47 emerges slowly from the tree line. Bloodied, grinning. He limps to a pine tree, retrieves a battered plastic bottle labeled Gatorade, drinks half of it in one tilt, then slaps the tree's bark with his palm. "That's what I'm talking about," he shouts. "Nature's gym, baby." He high-fives the tree. It does not respond. The drone continues recording. The human looks directly into the sky. Again, like he knows he's being watched. "Put that on your alien TikToks," he says. Then he flexes, turns, and walks back toward a parked pickup truck that appears to have no doors and a custom bumper sticker reading, "No shoes, no shirt, no mercy." The Zernak Council reviews the footage in full silence. At first, they assume this is an elite warrior, a fringe genetic outlier, some kind of Terran berserker, until a junior analyst cross-references public data. His name is Kyle McManus. Occupation: content creator slash wilderness lifestyle coach slash part-time forklift operator. He is unaffiliated with any military, tribe, cult, or Terran religious sect. He has no formal combat training. His most watched video is titled "Barefoot in Beryan: How to Assert Dominance on a Budget." It has 2.3 million views. The Zernak strategist general rubs his cranial plates. "Are they all like this?" The chamber remains quiet. An AI assistant begins compiling more footage from Earth's open networks. Early findings include a woman fist-fighting a tornado to defend her chickens, two siblings duct-taping themselves to a ceiling while chanting ancient wrestling promos, a group of engineers strapping rockets to lawn chairs to test orbital thresholds, a wedding that ends in a mosh pit after someone plays a kazoo rendition of Duel of the Fates. The strategist general halts the feed. "No more." He calls an emergency session. Operation Quiet Storm is paused indefinitely. The new directive is clear. Begin full-scale cultural threat analysis. Psychological warfare simulations will not be accurate. Species 47 is not stable. Species 47 appears to enjoy chaos. The junior analyst coughs gently. They also seem to be filming everything. The council stares. A longer silence follows, because this is no longer about conquest. This is about not being caught in the next viral upload titled, "First Alien Invasion Gets Bodied by Kyle and the Boys." Zernak Command was not used to panic. Their sociologists were the best in the quadrant. Cold, methodical, recursive. They once predicted the collapse of an empire 5 decades before its ruler was born. But they had never faced Earth. Specifically, the sociocultural anomaly, now known as Florida Man. It began as a subquery. While compiling behavioral anomalies, a data crawler flagged an Earth article. Florida Man wrestles alligator to save dog, then returns to barbecue. The article's title was not a mistranslation. It was verified. And the human in question had posted a selfie, holding the alligator in one arm and a smoked brisket in the other. The researchers thought it satire. It was not. Further investigation revealed a category of behavior, not isolated, not extreme, but persistent. The term Florida Man was an internal meme among humans, used not to condemn madness, but to celebrate it. The files were endless. Florida Man arrested for trying to ride manatee while screaming freedom. Florida Man tries to rob store with live iguana. Florida Man survives lightning strike, immediately buys lottery ticket. Each story real, documented, celebrated. Zernak translator. Matrix 9 attempted semantic analysis of the term "hold my beer." It crashed twice. Final output. This phrase appears to be a ritual challenge phrase humans use to initiate self-inflicted danger while smiling. The sociologist assigned to parsing this behavior began convulsing mid-report. "They do it willingly. There's no prize, no enemy. They just do it." Someone in the room whispered, "Biological aggression response?" The lead linguist corrected them. "No, not aggression, joy." The sociological dive widened. Voluntary cliff diving. Boxing matches that continued with shattered bones. A television series called Jackass, in which humans repeatedly launched themselves into pain for laughter. One human ran an ultra-marathon across a desert while hallucinating from dehydration. Another documented his attempt to live with grizzly bears as roommates. "They fear extinction," one alien analyst noted, "but they fear boredom more." The deeper the Zernak researchers went, the more the pattern emerged. Human firefighters ran into collapsing buildings. Human comedians joked while being arrested. Human musicians played concerts in war zones. One pilot safely landed a burning aircraft and then apologized for the rough descent. And always, somewhere in the footage, someone smiling, bleeding, but smiling. Zernak behavioral modeling AIs began returning corrupted datasets. Probability charts refused to stabilize. At one point, a psychological profile was run on a man who base jumped off a skyscraper in a squirrel suit while singing the SpongeBob SquarePants theme. The profile concluded, subject is emotionally sound, expresses no trauma, requests permission to do it again. The command chamber met in crisis. Strategist General Vorthan stood before the council. We assumed chaos was a symptom of failure, but Earth reveals it as a strategy of survival. Silence. Then one command tactician dared to speak. What does that make the humans? No one answered, because the answer was already appearing on every screen. Footage, audio, reports, all telling the same story. Humanity did not just endure disorder, they thrived in it. They created it, and then laughed as it tried to consume them. The Zernak command issued a new classification, effective immediately. Species 47, Humanity. Reclassification, Mimetic Combat Hazard. Subtype, Psychological Entropy Vector. Warning, standard logic-based prediction systems may fail. Prolonged observation may destabilize AI morale. Advisory notes were appended to the entry. Do not attempt to mimic human tactics. Do not interpret human absurdity as lack of danger. Do not ask what a Florida man is. And above all, do not hand them a beer. The satellite designated Overwatch Theta 9 was meant to monitor nuclear sites. Instead, it found a backyard barbecue. Initial scan classified it as a low-level civilian congregation. No uniforms, no visible military hardware. Just a stretch of grass, 2 folding tables, a smoldering grill, and approximately 14 humans in various states of partial clothing. Zernak Systems flagged it as non-strategic. That flag was rescinded within minutes. The footage began innocently enough. A shirtless human, age indeterminate, muscles average, sunglasses reflective, stood beside the grill, flipping meat with a tool not designed for it. A golf club, perhaps. Next to him, 2 others arm wrestled on a picnic bench. Fireworks were visible in the background, unlit. Children ran unsupervised with handheld firecrackers. A sign on the garage read, Second Annual Freedom BQ. Now with less supervision. The strategist general leaned forward. Enhance audio. The grill master was mid-debate with another male, gesturing with a bottle of hot sauce. I'm telling you, capsaicin is antibacterial. My cousin used this on a bullet wound and only lost 3 toes. The reply came fast. That's not medicine. That's a war crime. They laughed. The laughter was genuine. Zernak bioreaders registered elevated endorphin levels. No fear, no caution. Drone 12B zoomed further. A man crawled under a trampoline and began arranging fireworks beneath it. He announced, Science is about sacrifice. Someone shouted back, For America. The strategist general frowned. This is a weapons test? No, said the analyst. A birthday party. A child screamed in delight as a remote-controlled truck, on fire, raced across the lawn and crashed into a kiddie pool. Applause erupted. Then came the rib. A solitary piece of meat remained on the grill's edge. Charred, glorious. One man, height 6 feet 1 inch, sunglasses reflecting pure sky, raised his voice above the crowd. Who wants to fight me for the last rib? 5 humans responded simultaneously, not angrily, eagerly. They formed a circle. The footage blurred with movement. Elbows locked, sandals flew. Someone performed what Zernak analysts would later classify as a tornado suplex. The winner bit into the rib, still laughing, while someone poured a beer over his head in celebration. The beer was still sealed. The scene grew stranger. A squirrel investigating an open firework was caught in the resulting ignition. It flared skyward, briefly afire. There was a beat of stunned silence. Then a voice rang out, Steve has ascended! Long live Steve! The humans cheered. The squirrel, singed but alive, landed in a bush and disappeared. A shrine was later constructed of solo cups and glow sticks. Zernak Command paused the footage. "This is a military drill?" "No," said the analyst. "A Saturday. Are they all like this?" That appears to be the growing concern. Within hours, other satellites found similar events. A rooftop gathering where humans played music and danced with garden tools. A desert camp where someone attempted to cook ribs using only solar mirrors and a magnifying glass. A rural clearing with 200 humans in inflatable sumo suits jousting with pool noodles. No command structure, no uniforms. Just spontaneous, joyous chaos. And everywhere. Laughter, fire, food, occasional injury. No one fled. Everyone stayed. New classification filed. Behavioral pattern. Communal combat leisure associated. Subtype. Aggressive hospitality. Warning: do not engage humans near food or live music. Situational unpredictability high. Weaponized joy possible. Zernak Council issued an updated threat report. Humanity does not isolate madness. It hosts it, feeds it, invites neighbors. We cannot distinguish warriors from civilians. We cannot distinguish strategy from celebration. A final note was added to the barbecue report. They set a squirrel on fire, then called it a hero. The council sat in silence. No one laughed. The Zernak War Council had not convened an emergency quorum for over 9 centuries. Now they met 3 times in a single Earth week. The topic was no longer conquest. It was containment, and possibly escape. The strategist general opened the meeting with a question no one wanted to answer. Was Bearman a one-off? A berserker anomaly? Or is he standard issue? The analysis team responded by projecting more Earth footage onto the tactical display. Frame 1, a toddler, no more than 3 solar cycles old, wrapping herself in a python, laughing. Parents nearby, filming. Frame 2, an elderly woman pelting an armed burglar with frying pans while shouting, "Get out of my biscuits!" Frame 3, 3 teenagers filming themselves consuming Carolina Reaper peppers, the most toxic known plant in their hemisphere, while narrating the experience in poetry. One fainted, one screamed. The third declared himself Pepper King of Sector 9 and demanded to fight the sun. The council watched in frozen horror. "Are they always like this?" "They record it," came the reply. "Then they rate each other for style." The linguistics division submitted a troubling update. The Zernak language, long considered semantically perfect, was forced to invent a new verb, to human, chavinar human. Definition: to escalate a situation through chaos, humor, or suicidal confidence in defiance of logic. Example usage: the plan was sound until they humaned it. Retreat: the battlefield has been humaned. A new war doctrine was drafted on the spot. Avoidance through respectful distance. But not all were convinced. High General Atrax, conqueror of 12 systems, pounded the table with a closed claw. "You fear children and cook fires. This is mass hysteria. Show me military threat. Show me weapons. Show me war." The room hesitated. Then the strategist general gestured to the projection wall. "Play archive segment Alpha Zeta Prime." A montage rolled. Scene 1. A fictional soldier holding a blade fused to a rotating chainsaw. Caption: chainsaw bayonet. Scene 2. A group of Earth engineers in a warehouse. One reads aloud, "It probably shouldn't exist, but we already printed the parts." The prototype ignites. Screaming, cheering, fire. Someone yells, "Turn it off!" Someone else yells, "Turn it up!" One engineer loses a boot. None lose their enthusiasm. Scene ends with a handwritten sign above the table, R&D, reckless and determined. More footage followed. A rocket chair built from lawnmower engines. A refrigerator strapped to a glider. 2 men using hammers to play dueling banjos on frozen meat. One prototype exosuit powered by gasoline and pure vibe. None of it was sanctioned. All of it was celebrated. Atrax fell silent. The vote was called. Of the 12 council members, 11 raised their talons in favor of immediate retreat. 1 abstained, none objected. Operation Quiet Storm was terminated. Code revised from strategic pause to cultural hazard. New classification, Species 47, Humanity status, Invasion prohibited by abandonment clause. Reason, unpredictable mimetic volatility, joy-based warfare capacity, zero fear ceiling. Footnote, they invented weaponized madness, then made it a party. The strategist general gave the final order. Cut all probes, delete the simulations, let them stay on their strange little world. But just before the feed was purged, a final screen flickered through. A human standing on a rooftop, wearing a Viking helmet, holding a leaf blower, screaming into the night, "Come at me, lizard gods, I've got dad's strength." The signal cut. No one laughed. Not this time. When the Zernach Confederacy quietly scrubbed Earth from their invasion registry, they assumed no one would notice. They were wrong. Within a week, word spread like plasma fire across the fringe systems. Rumors first, then files, then the footage. The bear, the rib duel, the flaming squirrel named Steve. Entire sectors paused military exercises just to watch the raw transmissions. For most species, it was horrifying. For others, it was transcendent. In the Krell Empire, whose culture once considered laughter a weakness, the emperor himself made a rare public statement. "We once feared Earth, now we respect it. Not for its weapons, but for its willingness to weaponize joy." He then held a council vote to establish formal diplomatic non-aggression with all Terran descendants, present or future. The vote passed unanimously. The Krell military elite quietly installed outdoor grills on every training base within 2 cycles. They called it warrior heat enrichment. They meant barbecue. Vorktal Prime, a deeply traditionalist society ruled by generational memory clones, took a different path. After viewing the footage of the bear wrestling incident and subsequent rib conflict, their Council of Memory declared human recreational behavior a Class B cultural destabilizer. They banned all Terran footage from public systems. Their younger generation immediately smuggled it back in under the name Bear Flicks. The most watched upload, Florida Man vs. Gator, Dawn of the Drunk. One Vorktal student painted a mural of Kyle, the bear man, suplexing a planet. The caption read, "He doesn't fight because he must. He fights because it's Tuesday." On the planet Nalax, whose binary moons are visible 22 hours a day, a new religion formed within days. They called it the Path of Reckless Survival. Their first prophet declared Kyle McManus the god of improvised courage. They wrote sermons titled, "On the Third Rib, He Rose, Let There Be Sauce, Chainsaw Bayonet as Metaphor for Spiritual Rebirth." Pilgrims traveled for days to sacred reenactments, shirtless wrestling matches, pepper-eating contests, and ceremonial explosions. A child born during one of these gatherings was named Steve. Yes, after the squirrel. The memes came next. Galactic feeds lit up with chaos worship. Viral taglines spread like wildfire. Bear Man is real. Earth, the party planet that punched back. Invade Earth? Only if you want to lose your eyebrows and your dignity? Florida is not a place, it's a warning. Weaponized joy is a war crime, but only if they lose. Some alien universities updated cultural briefings to include a new field, Terran chaotic anthropology. Courses included understanding humor as tactical disruption, nonlinear bravery, case studies in illogical heroism, mimetic warfare and the dance-off doctrine. Enrollment tripled. Diplomatic envoys became cautious. Old threats now required careful tone. One race, the Gultharn, attempted to issue a sanctions warning to Earth. Their ambassador began his speech with, "Humans, you stand?" But a human delegate interrupted. "Hold my beer." The translator glitched. The ambassador fainted. Sanctions were dropped. Galactic academies began writing Earth into myth. Some believed the humans were ancient prank gods. Others swore their planet was a spiritual proving ground designed by cosmic comedians. One theory proposed that the Earth wasn't a world at all, but a reality engine, fueled by risk and barbecue smoke. There was no consensus, only reverence. The Zernach, once feared across systems, stopped expanding. Their new maps marked Earth with a blank space and a single phrase, "Here be humans." When questioned, Zernach commanders gave only one reply, "You may conquer stars." but never the species that high-fived a tree after suplexing a bear. It started, as most earth-shattering events do, with a NASA intern clicking the wrong folder. While cataloging deep space telemetry, they uncovered a flag file marked Zurnak, classified specimen 47, extreme. At first it seemed like more rogue telescope noise. Then the video played. Bear, man, screaming. Laughter, a flaming squirrel. No watermark, no edit. Just raw alien surveillance footage. Angles no Earth drone could capture. The intern paused and hit export. The leak hit the internet in under 6 hours. NASA tried containment. A misinterpreted cosmic anomaly, they said. No one listened. The footage went viral in 112 countries. Comments flooded in. This is the most American thing I've ever seen. Kyle McManus is now my spirit animal. Wait, aliens are real and this is what they're watching? We're doomed. Or maybe we've already won. Reddit crowned him the ambassador of pain. Twitter, rebranded Screech by that time, launched a number-signed Kyle diplomacy campaign. Within 48 hours, Kyle McManus was interviewed by 3 late-night shows, 1 podcast hosted from a hot tub, and 2 paranormal YouTube channels claiming he was a time traveler. His response? Nah, bro, I just love ribs and nature and proving bears wrong. Memes ignited. Bear guy punching stars. Kyle in a diplomatic suit holding a beer and a flamethrower. I accept your surrender. A children's book mock-up titled The Day Florida Man Saved Earth. Someone remixed the alien footage with dubstep. Views 47 million in a week. The President of the United States called him personally. We're naming you an honorary general. Of what branch? All of them. NATO followed suit. So did the United Nations. Even the Vatican issued a weirdly vague blessing. God works in mysterious, shirtless ways. Then came the movement. The Florida Man Global Initiative launched its first campaign, a gator wrestling charity event called Claws for a Cause. Money raised, $18 million. Funds used for disaster relief, veteran housing, and one failed attempt to launch a barbecue grill into low Earth orbit for peace. It caught fire. Cheers erupted anyway. But something strange happened beneath the laughter. World governments didn't rush to clarify. No official press release denied Earth's behavior. No diplomat explained away Kyle as an outlier. Instead, they leaned in. The United Nations quietly adjusted its planetary threat posture from defensive cooperation to strategic obfuscation. The strategy? Let them keep guessing. One leaked document titled Florida Protocol read, "Do not discourage the memes. Encourage footage of absurdity in remote areas. If asked about Kyle, respond only with, we don't control him." NASA, meanwhile, created a department called the Extraterrestrial Cultural Feedback Division. Its job? Monitor alien reactions. One report read, Krell Empire opened negotiations citing respect for the bare-chested guardian. Vork Tal religious scholars have issued a formal statement. We now believe in Earth. A new species on the fringe has declared war on gravity in Kyle's name. Kyle read that report live on camera and responded, gravity had it coming. The video caused a small panic on Mars base Echo, where artificial gravity briefly failed due to unrelated reasons. Coincidence? Maybe. Meanwhile, humans across the planet began embracing the chaos. T-shirts read, Earth, not worth the risk. Hold my beer, for peace. Don't mess with Earth. We have Florida. An indie filmmaker produced a sci-fi docudrama called First Contact Suplex Diplomacy. Kyle made a cameo, as himself, wrestling a man in a rubber alien costume, in IMAX. It grossed $73 million in the first weekend. Across every continent, something subtle but profound took root. Pride, not in might, not in tech, but in unpredictability. The knowledge that, out there, in a cold and calculating galaxy, humanity's greatest weapon wasn't a laser or a bomb. It was chaos. Glorious, shirtless, bear wrestling chaos. One late-night host summed it up best. We didn't beat the aliens with science or strategy. We beat them with backyard barbecues and poor decisions made confidently. We didn't plan peace. We weirded our way into it. And somewhere, late at night, Kyle stood on a rooftop, drink in hand, eyes to the stars. He smiled. "Y'all watching?" The stars blinked, maybe in reply. The Zernak Confederacy deleted Operation Quiet Storm at 0317 Galactic Mean Time. Not sealed, not redacted, deleted. The directive was issued by the strategist general herself. She spoke only 6 words. "History doesn't need this embarrassment." All records of projected Earth casualties, psychological warfare plans, and the aborted chainsaw bayonet analysis were purged from Zernak archives. In their place, a new initiative was filed, Cultural Contact Proposal 001-A, status, humility required. Objective, peace through understanding. It was the first such initiative in Zernak history. The mission was sent not with drones nor destroyers, but with a diplomat carrying smoked salmon and handwritten apologies. And beer. Lots of beer. The envoy's ship landed just outside Gainesville, Florida. By diplomatic tradition, the most powerful representative should have greeted them. Instead, it was Kyle, shirtless, sunglasses, drinking something orange and probably flammable. The envoy stepped onto human soil for the first time. Its translator unit blinked nervously. "Esteemed Earthling, the Zernak Confederacy comes in peace. We have brought smoked protein and fermented gifts." Kyle tilted his head. "You brought beer?" "Yes, multiple kinds." "Nice." He clapped the alien on the back. "Tell your emperor next time, bring ribs." And just like that, peace was brokered. No treaties, no documents, just mutual confusion, relief, and grilled meat. Kyle handed the alien a drink and pointed at the grill. "You want medium, rare, or spiritually awakened?" "Surprise me," the envoy replied. Later, they sat in folding chairs under string lights. The envoy spoke softly. "Our simulations predicted war." "You and everyone else," Kyle said. "We're good at that. But your people, they make pain absurd. They turn chaos into memory." Kyle grinned. "Pain's a hell of a teacher. Laughter's how we graduate." The Galactic Council called an emergency session, not to punish Earth, but to protect it from admiration. 12 systems had already begun mimicking Terran culture. Rebellion cells named Florida units were forming on mining moons. One Krell general threw a barbecue instead of launching a ground war. Galactic commerce dipped 0.4% from workforces watching Earth memes on loop. A unified decision was made. An edict issued across all known civilizations. Do not provoke Earth. Their chaos is contagious. Years passed. Earth remained the same. Mostly. They built a statue of Kyle, not in a capital, just on a roof. It wore sunglasses and held a plate of ribs. Its plaque read, "The war didn't happen because we didn't let it." The Zernak envoy visited annually, not for diplomacy, for the cookouts. Other species followed. They came for laughter. They stayed for cornbread. University courses emerged. Resilience through ridiculousness, humor as post-war reconstruction, mimetic defense strategies, Earth case study. Military academies taught the Hold My Beer protocol. Alien therapy programs added Earth sitcoms to recovery regimens. The phrase, "You're acting like a Terran," became both compliment and warning. The legend only grew. Children on ice planets wore Florida Man t-shirts. Vorktal monks quoted barbecue wisdom and sacred chants. Sects formed around the worship of chaotic endurance, not because Earth was violent, but because Earth had survived itself and come out smiling. And deep in orbit, where satellites drifted and comets whispered, one beacon remained. Zernak left it floating near Earth as a gesture of peace. It blinked a message on infinite loop. To the world that didn't break, thank you for teaching us how not to. Back home, Kyle grilled in peace, occasionally looked at the stars, and said nothing, because Earth had nothing left to prove, only stories left to tell. Kyle McManus, ambassador of pain, bear wrestler of Sector 9, hero of the war that never happened, retired quietly. He did not vanish. He pivoted. The man who once screamed at a grizzly bear for national pride and spare ribs opened a food truck. Its name? Planetary Ribs. Its logo was simple, A bear in sunglasses, flipping meat with a chainsaw bayonet spatula. Kyle parked it wherever the stars took him. Earthside festivals, Mars carnivals, even orbit station food expos. Lines stretched for blocks. Some waited days. Not just for the food, for the story. He never charged diplomats. His ribs were always free for anyone who had once contemplated war and chose instead to eat. The Galactic Council called it sauce-based disarmament. Kyle called it Tuesday. The Zernak Confederacy, once poised to conquer Earth in 3 hours, renamed one of their moons in his honor. Its new designation, Kylthos Fifth, the Laughing Crescent. They built no military base there, no research labs, just a ceremonial pit grill that never stopped burning. Pilgrims came to toss meats into the holy fire and whisper thanks. One child asked their teacher, "Why do we honor the man who fought a bear?" And the teacher, without hesitation, replied, "Because he taught us what not to fight." In Krell nursery schools, children were taught the chaos code of Earth as an emotional primer. It was written in every dialect, backed by psychological studies, studied by monks and soldiers alike. Rule 1, laugh first. Rule 2, punch hard. Rule 3, pet the bear if it lets you. Simple rules, devastating in their implications. They were not war doctrine. They were survival programming. A species in the Vorth Expanse rewrote its history curriculum to include Earth as a major galactic turning point, not for conquest but for philosophy. A required field trip took students to the Terran exhibit at the Galactic War Museum. It was the quietest part of the entire structure. No shock and awe weapons, no models of fleets. Just a 10-second clip, looped. A man, a bear, a headlock, a laugh. Caption below. This is why we didn't invade. Some students giggled, some wept, none forgot. The ripple effects didn't stop. A sentient AI colony began training its empathy modules on Earth sitcoms, claiming that laughter contained recursive survival logic. The Vorktal, once stoic beyond measure, built a comedy arena patterned after Terran backyard barbecues. The first act was an alien poet who performed an interpretive dance of Kyle's bear duel while covered in hot sauce. It was awarded their highest cultural honor, a slow nod. On a gas giant's floating city, a religion formed. They called it the Order of Grilled Serenity. Their sacred text? The collected transcripts of Earth's barbecue forms. Their scripture read, "He did not burn the meat. The meat burned itself out of respect." Followers met weekly to retell the saga. They did not worship Kyle. They followed his example. One tenet read, "There is no chaos, only flavor, yet understood." Governments tried to replicate the effect. Artificial Florida zones were created in simulations. None lasted more than 72 hours before imploding from paradox loops or spontaneous parties. Scientists concluded, authentic chaos requires genuine commitment. One galactic diplomat said in a secret briefing, Earth didn't win peace with force. They won it by being ungovernable and delicious. Years passed. Kyle continued cooking, refused interviews, signed ribs, not books. He never claimed to be a hero. When asked if he regretted suplexing the bear, he replied, "Regret is for people who didn't win." When asked how he learned to cook like that, he shrugged. "Same way I learned to wrestle bears. By doing it wrong a bunch of times." The final tribute came decades later. A monument, carved from asteroid quartz, floating between systems. No text, no coordinates. Just a sculpture of a man and a bear, locked in eternal embrace. Neither violent, neither victorious, both laughing. It was called The Encounter That Ended a War. Below it, a plaque glowed softly. If you're reading this, you made it. Now pass the sauce. Even as humanity evolved, faster ships, longer lifespans, post-scarcity economies, some truths endured. Every colony kept a grill. Every child learned the chaos code. And every time some warlord somewhere raised the question of conquering Earth, a single clip played. A man, a bear, a headlock, a laugh, followed by a quiet silence. Then the decision, no, not Earth, not again. Because the species that wrestled for ribs was the one that never lost a war.